For 44 years, NCRI has served as the only genuine democratic alternative to Mullah's regime. A central strategic principle of NCRI over these 4 decades have been the uncompromising rejection of 2 dictatorships, the theocracy of the mullahs and the monarchy that preceded it. The NCRI vision, reflected in the 10-point plan of Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, the president-elect of the NCRI, offering the Iranian people a clear vision for future and a concrete plan for the transition to a democratic republic in Iran, including separation of religion and state, full equality between men and women, an independent judiciary, freedom of speech, assembly, political parties, and freedom of press, prohibition of torture, abolition of death penalty, autonomy, and an end to discrimination against Iran's ethnic minorities and national minorities in accordance with the NCRI policy, and a non-nuclear Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin this convention, we gather with a shared purpose to help chart the path toward a prosperous, free, democratic republic in Iran.
For the first time, Iranian scholars, professionals, and community leaders from across the United States have come together to chart a path from dictatorship to a democratic, secular, and non-nuclear republic. This is more than an event. It is a movement fueled by courage, conviction, and the unshakable belief that freedom is not a privilege, but a right. Let us be clear. This is not just a dialogue. It is a declaration that dictatorship is not destiny, and that the Iranian people deserve dignity, democracy, and peace. Because today, we don't just imagine a free Iran, we commit to building it.
A thriving, democratic, popular government in Iran, not a theocracy, not a monarchy, not an oppressive regime. This will be a great thing for the entire world. We are waiting for that day, and it will be a blessing to us all. Madam Rajavi spoke about appeasement as failure. We see that in Europe today. If you appease tyrants, they will grow in power and stature, and they will prolong the time until a regime falls. European colleagues and friends, do not fall for the storyline that there is no alternative. Everyone in this room knows precisely that there is an alternative, a free and independent sovereign Iran delivered to it by its own people. The democratic alternative that Madam Rajavi and so many of you have been working to and demonstrate its capability now for 40-on years knows the history, but it too is totally prepared for the day that we have the opportunity to move forward.
I've always relied on those people to help me in my life, and I can tell you at every one of the events that I've ever been to at MEK and CRI, I see brilliance, people capable, people who are motivated, and thanks to your sacrifice, you're going to be the ones who write a new chapter in Iran's history when Iran becomes free. Your message is loud and clear, and I've had the privilege of seeing that message epitomized because I've been to Ashraf 3 and seen the model of what Iran can look like when people of industry and intellect and perseverance come together and build a community. If people wonder, can anyone organize? Can anyone put it together? This is a big job to transition from a history of dictatorship and theocracy. That's not a small job.
And this isn't just a convention. This is the demonstration of a political reality that the Iranian people not only reject dictatorship, but already have a democratic alternative capable of replacing it. And I say this with full confidence. The National Council of Resistance of Iran is not a theory. It is not an opposition on paper. It is a government in waiting, backed by a movement that has survived prison, executions, terrorism, and exile, and yet stands stronger than ever. We just heard the battle cry for this movement in the beautiful music just played, and we're no longer in the phase of the regime asking if we're no longer in the phase of asking if this regime will change. No, the regime is losing control. We are now in the phase of highlighting the force for change and determining who is prepared to lead the nation when it does.
It is nonsense on stilts to think for a moment that there is no alternative. Of course there is an alternative. And the alternative isn't to appease. The alternative is not son of Shah. No way! What is the alternative? And in particular, what's the basis? My friends, may I politely suggest to you that the most obvious and compelling source of legitimacy is being on the ground, not having run away, organizing resistance, sticking at it, empowering others, and conducting a life that is selfless, that is based upon service, and which accepts the inevitability periodically of sacrifice. That's what the MEK has been doing for almost 4.5 decades.
Since October 7th, 2 years ago, the world has realized that the head of the snake of terrorism lies in Iran, and has also seen the utter weakness of the Iranian regime, as well as the desire of the Iranian people to reject that regime and seek freedom. I think history may well look back on October 7th and its aftermath as the beginning of the end for these people, both as a cancerous force within the Middle East and also, crucially, within the eyes of its people. And it is those people, the good people of Iran, who deserve justice, freedom, and a country whose future is controlled and charted by them, not swapping one form of tyranny for another, mind you.
But one of the most important things to me is that Madame Rajavi is asking scientific questions, not only for the sake of scientific questions, but she is seeing how can I implement this in the organization to make it even more efficient, like AI and whatnot. And for me, that's truly, truly remarkable. The focus that Madam President-elect has on the issue of bringing democracy to Iran, regime change in Iran, but also making efficient the organization that she's leading towards Iran. What kind of suggestion would you have for the future of Iran and the resistance?
Of course, I'm a scientist, so I only trust myself when I make scientific suggestions. But I don't think that we need to make any suggestions. You know, we have the 10-point platform. Just follow that. I mean, it creates all the environments that you need to have, all the requirements that you need to have to fulfill everything that I mentioned. I mean, that 10 points, you know, I studied very carefully. It's a nice, rejuvenated U.S. the original Constitution. It's just amazing that also designed for Iranians, for Iranian societies. So my only suggestion, if I may, is that let's follow that 10 points, those 10 points. I mean, we are going to be in good shape.
First, Iranians of all masses thoroughly rejected monarchy in their ranks in 1979, period. Lesson number two, that they paid in blood of Iran's youth, forged in the crucible of torture, rape, and execution. But foremost of all, freedom is never bestowed by dynasties on foreign patrons. It is earned through sacrifice, resistance, and unbreakable commitment to justice. These are not merely words for a class on politics, but these are things which are now being practiced. There is only one group right now, as we speak, which has crystallized all of these above lessons into action, into practice. It has a historically accurate roadmap for a democratic future in Iran. It has an evidence-based approach to resistance, and also importantly, it has a government which works in exile.
Our shared purpose stands clearer than ever to ensure that Iran's transition to a democratic, secular, and non-nuclear republic is not only possible, but inevitable. The message from every panel and from inside Iran itself is unmistakable. The solution to Iran's crisis lies in regime change by the people and their organized resistance. The conditions for change exist. The momentum exists, and critically, the democratic alternative exists. The alternative is the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Prepared today to guide a peaceful transition grounded in a clear roadmap and a program for the post-revolutionary period, all rooted in the 10-point plan of Mrs. Maryam Rajavi,